when hotel maid Mia Thermopolis is publicly accused of stealing from a wealthy guest. Her humiliation is complete. Invisible to the elite she serves and disrespected by management, she accepts her place at the bottom of society's ladder, until a mysterious invitation arrives from one of the hotel's most powerful guests. In 24 hours, Mia will discover she's secretly the heir to a billion-dollar fortune, including ownership of the very hotel where she scrubs toilets. As high society suddenly bows at her feet and former tormentors scramble for her favor, Mia faces an impossible choice: embrace a world that once rejected her, or walk away from power that could change countless lives like her own. But in the shadowy world of wealth and privilege, not everyone welcomes a maid becoming a magnate. Some would rather see her destroyed than sitting in the boardroom, and they'll stop at nothing to ensure she remains in her place. Mia's fingers ached as she polished the same gold-plated bathroom fixture for the third time. Not because it needed it, but because Lana, the hotel manager, had deemed her first 2 attempts embarrassingly inadequate. "These guests pay more for one night than you make in a month," Lana had reminded her with that practiced smile that never reached her eyes. Their experience must be flawless. The Platinum Suites Hotel stood as a gleaming monument to luxury in the heart of the city. Its marble floors reflected the crystal chandeliers overhead, creating an illusion of infinite opulence that Mia moved through like a ghost. Guest's eyes slid past her uniformed figure as if she were part of the furniture, visible only when needed, forgotten when not. Mia tucked a textbook into her locker before her shift. Advanced biochemistry. Midterms were next week, and she'd been studying during breaks and late into the night after shifts. Her scholarship covered most expenses, but tuition increases had forced her to take this job. Just temporary, she reminded herself. The hotel buzzed with excitement for the evening's charity gala. Fighting poverty was the theme, with tickets costing $5,000 per plate. The irony wasn't lost on Mia. "You'll need to be invisible tonight," Lana instructed the staff, her gaze lingering disapprovingly on Mia's worn shoes, but available instantly when needed. "And remember, smile." The gala was in full swing when it happened. Mia was discreetly emptying a waistbin when Lana's voice cut through the ambient chatter. "You! Stop right there." The room fell silent. Champagne glasses paused midway to lips. Mia froze, suddenly visible to everyone. Lana strode across the room, designer heels clicking against marble, a diamond bracelet clutched in her manicured hand. "Mrs. Vanderton reported this missing from her suite," Lana announced, voice pitched to carry throughout the ballroom. "And you were the only staff member who entered her room today." Mia's mouth opened, but no sound emerged. 100 pairs of eyes judged her, the wealthy, the powerful, the connected, all seeing nothing but a thief in a cheap uniform. "I didn't," Mia finally managed, her voice barely audible. "Security will escort you out." Lana cut her off. "We'll be pressing charges, naturally." The whispers began, slithering around the room. Mia's cheeks burned as she backed away, bumping into a waiter who quickly stepped aside as if she were contagious. In the staff break room, Mia's hands trembled as she collapsed onto a bench. Tears streamed down her face, but she wiped them away angrily. Lily, another cleaner, sat beside her. "Hey, they can't prove anything because you didn't do it." "Doesn't matter," Mia whispered. "People like us are guilty until proven innocent. People like them are innocent even when proven guilty." Lily squeezed her hand. "This job is temporary, remember? You're meant for better things." Mia nodded, but the humiliation clung to her like a second skin. Back straight. Chin parallel to the floor. No, not up parallel. Clarice circled Mia like a military inspector. After 3 days of these lessons, Mia's body ached in places she hadn't known existed. Her grandmother had commandeered a suite on the 32nd floor, far from the staff areas, where Mia reported after each shift. "I have an exam tomorrow," Mia protested weakly, balancing a book on her head while attempting to pour tea without looking. "CEOs don't get study breaks," Clarice replied coolly. "The board meeting is in 5 days. We have much ground to cover." The arrangement had seemed simple enough: learn the basics, attend the board meeting, then decide whether to accept her inheritance. But nothing about this new reality was simple. Every morning, Joseph's sleek Bentley waited in the alley behind the hotel. The first time he'd appeared, 2 housekeepers had nearly dropped their cleaning carts. "Got yourself a sugar daddy, Mia?" one had teased, not unkindly. Mia had forced a laugh, mumbling something about a ride to school. The questions multiplied as days passed. Why was she checking her phone constantly? Who kept calling during breaks? Why did she rush out immediately after shifts? Even Lana had noticed the change, eyeing Mia suspiciously when she declined overtime. Suddenly too good for extra hours, she'd remarked. The charity gala incident is still under investigation, you know. Between shifts, Mia's education expanded beyond her wildest imagination. Corporate structure, finance fundamentals, the intricacies of international business law. Her grandmother introduced a parade of tutors and specialists, each sworn to secrecy. You have your father's mind, Clarice admitted grudgingly after Mia quickly grasped a complex merger strategy. It was the closest thing to affection she'd shown. By the fourth day, Mia's appearance began subtly changing. Clarice had insisted on proper skin care. Your face is the first thing board members will see. Her wild curls were tamed by expensive products. Posture exercises altered her gait from apologetic to assured. The staff lunchroom grew quiet when she entered on day 5. Even in her uniform, something had shifted. The way she walked. Her voice more measured. The clear gaze that no longer dropped to the floor when addressed. Mia's too fancy for us now, someone muttered as she passed. Only Lily remained loyal, though increasingly puzzled. You seem different, she observed during their shared break. Is everything okay? I can't explain yet, Mia whispered. But soon. I promise. On the morning of day 6, Paolo arrived, a flamboyant Italian stylist with 3 assistants and 12 suitcases of equipment. This, he gestured dramatically at all of Mia, is my new canvas. By tonight, she will be a masterpiece. 8 hours later, Mia stepped into the hotel's marble lobby through the front entrance for the first time. Gone was the uniform. In its place, a custom-tailored navy suit that whispered old money. Her hair fell in elegant waves, makeup subtle but transformative. A guest who had snapped at her just yesterday now held the door, admiring her as she passed. The concierge, who never acknowledged her, rushed to offer assistance. Behind the front desk, staff whispered furiously, pointing discreetly. And there stood Lana, momentarily speechless as recognition dawned slowly in her eyes. Mia smiled politely and continued walking, heart pounding beneath her perfect exterior. The hotel's rooftop garden was empty this late. Mia led Lily through the employee access door, past signs warning that staff were prohibited from using guest amenities. We could get fired, Lily whispered, glancing nervously at the infinity pool gleaming under moonlight. That's actually what I need to tell you about, Mia said, settling into a lounge chair worth more than her monthly rent. She took a deep breath and began from the beginning. The chauffeur, Clarice, the revelation of her father's identity, the fortune that awaited her decision. Lily's eyes grew progressively wider. When Mia finished, silence hung between them. So you're telling me, Lily finally managed, that you own this entire hotel? The place where Lana makes a scrub grout with toothbrushes. Technically not yet, Mia clarified. The board meeting is tomorrow. But yes, potentially all of it. And about 30 other properties worldwide. Lily collapsed back in her chair. Holy shit. You can't tell anyone, Mia pleaded. Not until after tomorrow. I need to do this right on my terms. My lips are sealed, Lily promised, making a zipping motion. But after tomorrow, can I please be there when you fire Lana? Mia smiled. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. They parted with a tight hug, Mia feeling lighter having shared her secret with someone who knew the real her. The following morning, Mia woke to her phone vibrating violently on her nightstand. 17 missed calls, dozens of text messages, hundreds of social media notifications. Heart racing, she opened the first link Lily had sent. A garish gossip website displayed a split-screen photo, one of Mia in her hotel uniform from someone's social media, the other a candid shot from yesterday's makeover. The headline screamed, Cinderella Story. Hotel maid revealed as billion-dollar heiress. The article detailed everything, her father's identity, the Genovian fortune, even the upcoming board meeting. It quoted celebrity stylist Paolo extensively about her tragic peasant appearance before his transformative magic. Her phone rang again. Joseph. Miss, he said grimly, there are photographers gathering outside your apartment building. Madame Rinaldi suggests you remain inside. I'm sending security. Within the hour, the story had reached every tabloid and morning show. Hashtag Hotel Heiress was trending. Old classmates she hadn't spoken to in years were giving interviews about their close friendship with Mia. By noon, Joseph had smuggled her through her building's service entrance and into the Bentley. As they approached the hotel, Mia gasped. A crowd of reporters and photographers swarmed the entrance, held back by security. We'll use the parking garage, Joseph decided, veering away. The staff corridor, usually bustling with workers avoiding guest areas, fell silent as Mia walked through. Employees who had ignored her for months now smiled eagerly, offering congratulations. The head chef, who once complained when housekeeping staff used the kitchen's back-end trance, emerged to personally offer her anything you desire, Miss Thermopolis. Turning a corner, Mia came face to face with Lana. "Mia!" Lana exclaimed with a brittle smile, as if greeting a dear friend. "I was just coming to find you. I always told management you were special, you know. I saw such potential in you." Behind Lana stood Mrs. Vanderton, the very guest who had accused Mia of stealing her bracelet. "Darling," Mrs. Vanderton cooed, "you simply must join us for the charity luncheon on Sunday. The Princess of Monaco will be there. You two would get along famously." Mia regarded them both coolly, suddenly aware of the power shift that had occurred overnight. Not from her actions but from her name alone. "How interesting," she replied softly. "I'll have to check my schedule." Mia tried to focus on the spreadsheets Clarice had provided for the board meeting, but the constant ping of her phone made concentration impossible. Every executive in the company suddenly needed to touch base with her. High school acquaintances miraculously remembered her phone number. And now this. "Miss Thermopolis?" The receptionist's voice sounded through the suite's intercom. "Mr. Joshua Bryant is here to see you. He says it's important." Josh Bryant. Room 714. Always requested extra towels but never tipped. Had once snapped his fingers at Mia when she didn't notice him waiting for the elevator. "Send him up," Mia said after a moment's hesitation. Clarice had emphasized the importance of networking. He arrived bearing an enormous bouquet of orchids and a smile that had graced several cologne advertisements. His eyes, which had previously looked through her, now lingered appreciatively. "I've been trying to reach you," he said, stepping into the suite uninvited. "Your transformation is the talk of the hotel." "Thank you for the flowers," Mia replied cautiously, maintaining distance. "I'm hosting a small gathering tonight at the Azure Beach Club," Josh continued. "Very exclusive. The perfect place for you to make your society debut before tomorrow's big meeting." "I really should prepare." "All work and no play," he interrupted, moving closer. "Besides, you'll meet half the board members there anyway. I've known the Vanderbilts and Astors since prep school." Something flickered in his eyes, calculation perhaps. But Mia reasoned that making connections before tomorrow could help her case. And a small part of her, the part still stinging from years of invisibility, wanted to be seen. "I'll consider it," she said finally. 6 hours later, Mia regretted her decision. The small gathering was a spectacle of wealth and excess. Champagne flowed freely as guests barely disguised their curiosity about her. Every introduction felt like an inspection. "They're just fascinated by your story," Josh assured her, his hand possessively on her lower back as cameras flashed nearby. "Another drink?" By midnight, the constant scrutiny had become unbearable. When Josh suggested escaping to a private stretch of beach, Mia gratefully agreed. The moonlit sand offered temporary respite. Stars reflected on gentle waves, and for a moment, Mia relaxed. "This view is incredible," she said softly. "Not as incredible as this one," Josh replied, pulling her closer. Before she could react, he'd positioned his phone above them, camera facing down. "What are you doing?" Mia asked, pulling away slightly. "Just documenting the night," he grinned, snapping several photos. "The internet is buzzing about us already. #RichBoyMadeRomance is trending." Mia's comfort evaporated instantly. "There is no us. I barely know you." "Details," Josh dismissed, scrolling through the photos. "Look how good we look together. This one's definitely going on my profile." The screen showed his arm around her waist, his lips near her ear. The caption was already typed. "Teaching Cinderella how the other half lives, winking face, #powercouple, #from rags to riches." In the distance, bushes rustled. Camera lenses glinted in moonlight. "Perfect timing," Josh murmured, pulling her closer. "Let's give them something worth photographing." Clarity struck Mia like ice water. She wasn't a person to him. She was a publicity opportunity, a story to attach himself to. "Stop it!" She pushed him away forcefully, stumbling backward. "I'm not your ticket to more followers." Josh's charming facade cracked. "Don't be naive. Everyone's using this situation, why shouldn't we? You should be grateful I'm even seen with the help." Mia's eyes stung as she turned away, hurrying across the sand as cameras clicked frantically in the darkness. Her designer heels sank into the beach, her carefully styled hair whipped across her tear-streaked face. By dawn, the photos were everywhere. Mia Thermopolis, disheveled and crying, fleeing across the beach. The headlines were merciless. Heiress meltdown, can a maid really become a magnate? From dust rags to riches, Thermopolis already cracking under pressure, too common for the crown? Board members expressed concerns. Mia sat motionless on the suite's pristine sofa, still wearing last night's wrinkled designer dress. The newspapers Clarice had silently placed before her told the story in cruel detail. Every tabloid, business publication, and social media platform had an opinion on her humiliation. "I suppose you find this amusing," Clarice finally said, her voice tight with disappointment. "All our preparation undone in a single evening." "It wasn't like that," Mia whispered. "Josh set me up." "And you allowed it," Clarice countered. "The board meeting is in 6 hours. Half the members have already called to express their concerns." The word hung in the air like a verdict. Leading a global enterprise isn't about wearing designer clothes or attending parties, Clarice continued. It's about judgment, discretion, qualities that appear to be in short supply. Each word landed like a physical blow. Mia had spent years being invisible, then days learning to be seen, but on whose terms? She traded one form of manipulation for another. "Perhaps I was wrong," Clarice said softly, regret clouding her features. "Perhaps this is too much to ask of someone raised without proper guidance." Mia stood suddenly. "You're right. This isn't me. Any of it." She grabbed a hotel notepad and pen, her handwriting shaky but determined as she drafted a statement. "I'm declining the inheritance. Baron Siegfried can have it all." Clarice watched silently as Mia headed for the door. "Where are you going?" she finally asked. "Back to reality," Mia replied. "I have a shift in an hour." The service corridors felt simultaneously foreign and familiar as Mia hurried through them in her uniform. Staff members whispered as she passed, their expressions a mix of curiosity and schadenfreude. The humiliating headlines had clearly made the rounds. In the break room, she spotted Michael, the maintenance worker whose warm smile had often been the highlight of difficult shifts. They'd shared lunches and stories, and he'd asked her for coffee just days before, a request she'd eagerly accepted then forgotten in the whirlwind of her transformation. She'd stood him up for Josh's party without even a text. "Michael," she called out, but he quickly gathered his tools and slipped out the other door, avoiding eye contact. Another relationship damaged. Another reminder of how quickly she'd abandoned her real life for an illusion. "So that's it." Lily's voice startled her. "You're just giving up?" Mia turned to find her friend blocking the doorway, arms crossed. "I saw your name on today's cleaning roster. You're seriously going back to scrubbing toilets when you could own the whole damn building." "I don't belong in that world," Mia said tiredly. "Last night proved it. Because some trust fund jerk used you for Instagram likes?" Lily's voice rose incredulously. "That's your excuse for handing billions to some baron who'll fire everyone? What choice do I have? The board would never accept me now. Who cares what they accept?" Lily stepped closer, eyes blazing. "This isn't about you fitting into their world. It's about you changing it." Mia blinked, taken aback by her friend's intensity. "Do you have any idea," Lily continued, "how many housekeepers like us could have better lives if someone who actually knew their struggles was in charge? How many scholarship kids wouldn't have to work themselves sick to afford tuition?" The words hit Mia like a revelation. "You're not thinking big enough," Lily pressed. "This isn't about fancy parties or being accepted by those people. It's about having the power to help people who've been invisible, like we've been invisible." Mia stared at her friend, seeing the truth that had been obscured by glamour and humiliation. "You know what the difference is between you and every rich person I've ever cleaned up after?" Lily asked softly. "You still see us." The realization settled over Mia like a mantle, heavier than designer clothes, more valuable than her inheritance. This wasn't just about wealth. It was about responsibility. "The board meeting," Mia whispered. "It starts in an hour." "Then you better change," Lily replied, a slow smile spreading across her face. "But this time, do it your way." The suite felt emptier now. Mia tossed her few belongings into a backpack, determined to leave no trace of her brief foray into luxury. As she pulled open the antique desk drawer to retrieve her biology notes, something fluttered to the floor, an envelope, yellowed with age, that had been wedged behind the drawer. Her name was written across the front in elegant handwriting. With trembling fingers, Mia broke the seal. "My dearest Amelia, if you're reading this, you've found your way to our family legacy, though I am no longer there to guide you. How I wish I could see the woman you've become. There was a time when I nearly walked away from all of this. The responsibility felt too heavy, the expectations suffocating. I was young and convinced myself that abandoning my birthright was an act of rebellion rather than fear. What I eventually learned, what I hope you will understand sooner than I did, is that true privilege isn't found in the wealth we accumulate or the status we claim. It lies in having the power to effect meaningful change in a world that desperately needs it. The position you now face comes with both burden and blessing. Use it wisely. Be the voice for those who have none. Create opportunities where doors have been closed. Remember that compassion is not weakness, it is the greatest strength a leader can possess. However you choose to proceed, know that I will be proud of you simply for having the courage to make your own decision. With endless love, your father, Philippe. Tears splashed onto the page as something shifted inside Mia, perspective aligning like stars into a constellation that had always been there, waiting to be recognized. The Genovian Enterprises boardroom intimidated with its grandeur, mahogany table gleaming beneath crystal chandeliers, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. 16 board members turned in unison as Mia entered, their expressions ranging from curiosity to outright skepticism. Baron Siegfried stood at the head of the table, mid-presentation, his confident smile faltering only slightly at her appearance. "Miss Thermopolis," he recovered smoothly. "How kind of you to join us before formally declining your position." As Mia moved toward the podium, her gaze locked on familiar faces: Mrs. Vanderton, who had accused her of theft; Mr. Reynolds, who had snapped his fingers to summon her like a dog; the Ashcroft couple, who had complained about her hovering while she cleaned their suite. They stared back without recognition, seeing only the heiress, not the maid who had scrubbed their toilets. For a terrifying moment, Mia froze. The old feelings of inadequacy threatened to drown her voice before she'd spoken a word. Then she remembered, not her grandmother's lessons in posture or protocol, but the countless mornings she'd risen before dawn to study before her shift. The dignity she'd maintained while being treated as invisible. The resilience that had carried her through years of balancing work and education without complaint. Her spine straightened not from practiced poise, but from hard-earned strength. "My name is Emilia Thermopolis Rinaldi," she began, her voice clear and steady. "Daughter of Philippe Rinaldi and rightful heir to the Genovian Enterprises. I am here to claim my position." Murmurs rippled through the room as Baron Siegfried's smile vanished entirely. "My first act as CEO will be implementing a company-wide minimum wage increase across all Genovian properties, effective immediately. My second will be establishing a scholarship program for all employees and their children." 1 week later, Mia walked through the lobby of the Platinum Suites, her hotel. Employees nodded respectfully as she passed. At the front desk, Lana appeared, practically vibrating with nervous energy. "Miss Thermopolis, can I get you coffee? Or perhaps show you to the executive lounge?" Mia smiled. "No thanks. But the third-floor bathrooms need cleaning. I'd recommend starting there." She continued walking, hearing Lana's stunned silence behind her, and pushed open the door to what had once been the manager's office. Now it was hers.